Nobody's here for any joint.
Yes,
That's a guard. Nobody is here for one joint. I will guarantee you're not here for one marijuana cigarette, because the law says you have to do it at least 3 times. At least 3 times to even be prosecuted. So you are not here. You're the one that said that? Who said that? You did.
That was here for just a joint.
No, you said it. Now, you are lying. You are not here from one marijuana cigarette. What's your name?
I'm here for a couple marijuana.
Well, I'm gonna tell you. So this is garbage, and you shouldn't lie to the sheriff.
Smoke weed every day, yeah.
Okay, but then why'd you go down?
Now, this is my first time using drugs, so are you supposed to inhale?
Back in the hood, we were joined by T. Roger's son, Lucky, who informed us that it was time for us to take a little test to make sure we were not undercover narcs.
Well, I found me a bag of bud outside. I'm grateful for it, and I'm about to smoke it. You can't return it to the lost and found, right? I mean, what would you do if you found a bag of weed? Smoke it. Goddamn right. What you gonna say? Man, I found a bag of weed. I don't know what to do. Well, I know. We're about to. We is about to smoke. I just found this, Mama.
Almost everyone I know, including myself, has tried smoking marijuana at least once. So why does our government classify marijuana right alongside of drugs like crack and crystal meth, when its effects are obviously so different?
Marijuana is the single biggest cause of treatment need in this country by far. The problem that we face is it's more than twice as important a factor in the treatment need of the country than any of the illegal drugs. And for teenagers, it's more important a factor than alcohol today, which never used to be the case.
The people in Washington realize that 85% of all people in the United States of America today that use any form of illicit drug use only marijuana. That means that the total numbers of everybody else that uses any other drug would not justify this colossal prison industrial complex, this colossal bureaucracy that we have to fight the war on drugs.
We are not going to arrest basically the backbone, the fabric of America today. You got 80 million Americans who have tried or used marijuana. We're talking about doctors, lawyers, judges, scientists, entrepreneurs. Athletes. We're talking about the backbone of America, the marrow of America that does smoke or has smoked marijuana.
Marijuana is Schedule 1. Do you think marijuana belongs in Schedule 1?
I'm not sure what the politics of that is, to be honest with you.
What about countries like Amsterdam, where they have not so much legalized, but they've decriminalized, and they claim that it's helped crime and that it's helped addiction?
Amsterdam, when I've been there, you have to cross over bodies lying on the street because they're high on drugs. They're just lying on the corner. You have to jump over them when you want to go somewhere.
Less than a week after baking in the sun at Sheriff Joe's tent city, I decided to take a quick trip to see if he was being 100% honest about the effects of Dutch drug laws on the streets of Amsterdam. When I arrived, I was joined by a friend of a friend who had grown up in Amsterdam and knew the streets like the back of his hand. Yes, we did see drug dealers, but they were extremely polite and always backed away after realizing I was not looking for drugs. And unlike Sheriff Joe, who was crossing over bodies, we ended up having to pay a dealer to introduce us to a single enthusiastic crack smoker.
This is crack, man. This is crack in Amsterdam. The crack.
What do you think about the fact that you can do this on the streets here without being taken to prison?
Because we pay tax for use.
Yeah? What do you think about it? What do you think about American drug laws as compared to these drug laws?
They are very harsh in America.
Yeah?
You can't even smoke a joint of marijuana.
Yeah, I know.
You get into problems, you know. Here, you get it. Coffee shops, that's why I don't understand why they can legalize this shit, you know.
Well, what do you think about the fact that in America, they're filling up the prisons with people that just want to do drugs?
It's not right. They gotta try another different approach, like taking care of the people, you know, who are addicted. They give them places to use the shit, and taking care of people who don't have a house to sleep. That's the way they do it here in Holland.
By total coincidence, we found ourselves at the 420 bar on April 20th. Unbeknownst to me, 420 is a very significant date in the worldwide pot-smoking community.
My name is Michael Veling. I'm the owner of this bar Koen Coffee Shop, which means that you can drink a beer in here and you can also buy a bag of grass, if you so wish. I've had this place for 18 years and I've never had a fight in here.
American comedian Tom Rhodes moved to Holland where he became the Dutch equivalent of David Letterman.
Mr. Tom Rhodes.
People think that all drugs are legal there. It's not true. And actually, marijuana and hash is not legal. It's tolerated, as are mushrooms. All organic drugs are tolerated.
I don't have much to say about Dutch drug policy. Their model applied to the United States would be inappropriate, and we're not going to do it. We're not going to legalize drugs. Drugs are already decriminalized by and large in the United States.
What have they done in Holland? Well, they realize, of course, that the drugs are here to stay, and let's try to manage the problem. And they have put in a really effective harm reduction program.
You know, in Holland, they call people junkies who do anything too much. If you drink too much, you're considered a junkie. If you smoke too much weed, you're considered a junkie. Which, when I first moved over there and I heard people go, oh, he's a junkie, I always thought they were talking about heroin.
What has happened? Well, the Minister of Health of Holland held a press conference a few years ago saying, you know something? We have only half the marijuana usage in Holland as you do in your country, both for adults and for teenagers. He said, we have succeeded in Holland in making pot boring.
Holland has 60% the drug use is that of the United States, and that's among kids and adults, and that's for marijuana and harder drugs.
If you do weed and it leads to coke and then you do heroin, that's really the individual's own psycho problem.
In Amsterdam, people addicted to heroin need not resort to stealing or prostitution. The Rainbow is a free clinic that allows junkies to come in off the street for a fix of government-controlled heroin and a clean syringe.
Heroin addicts are pitied, and the government does the best they can to try and get them off heroin. Like last year in the papers, Dutch doctors said that they think they should be treating heroin addicts with heroin instead of methadone and morphine because they think that just makes the addicts addicted to those things.
Methadone withdrawal is like 5 times as long as heroin withdrawal. I guess also the point of methadone is to, like, you know, get yourself out of the hole.
I don't support that all drugs should be legal. You know, I don't think heroin should be illegal. I think it ruins people's lives. And I've seen cocaine ruin a lot of people's lives and turn good people into total assholes. I think that the organic basis for the drug law that Holland has, and, you know, and their entire system isn't right, you know, but, you know, the fact that, you know, mushrooms and marijuana and hash, you know, it comes from the earth, so they've got more of a Christian idea of creation and what is supposed to be used to help us get along in this little journey.
The Dutch drug policy is very successful. If you compare the statistics of this country and you compare them to other countries where there's a much less lenient policy on drugs, you would be surprised to find out that Holland has very low figures.
Amsterdam is not legal, it's semi-legal. When you go into a coffee house, you can smoke a couple of marijuana cigarettes or hashish, but it's still against the law to sell it and to have large quantities. But it doesn't work. The English system has never worked. You should never, never legalize drugs.
Okay, Kevin, we're gonna hit it. Hit it, take it off.
I remember it wasn't long after looking down my nose at Jonna for her heroin addiction that I found myself addicted to prescription pain pills. A series of childhood accidents from motocross, gymnastics, and high diving had left me with a compressed disc in my lower spine. Now my biggest nightmare of all time had become true. Not only was I an addict, but I had something in common with Rush Limbaugh.